Shalom. I want to share with you now the teachings concerning the concept of Shana, of time. We have in the Sefer Yetzirah the concept of Olam, Shana, Nefesh. Olam is world, which is the world, the spatial, the world, the concept of space. The Shana means year, which is the concept of time. And Nefesh is soul, the concept of consciousness. That we as souls came into space-time, which is a lower dimensionality. God is above space and above time, above energy and above matter. And God creates this bubble of a world within which He sends our souls from above into space-time. Our souls come from above space-time, but when we get into space-time, it's like a meteor. It breaks when we hit the atmosphere, and we lose a certain degree of consciousness of who we are. Amnesia. The word amnesia itself is interesting. It comes from Menashia, or Nishia in Hebrew, which is the reason that Yosef named his son Menashe, is that Hashem has allowed me to forget what my brothers did to me. And so Nishia is oblivion, forgetfulness. So amnesia comes from that. We forget who we are. But the whole thing now is to start to remember. So one of the most beautiful things that has helped me in the concept of Shana, in concept of time, we're going to focus on time, on history, and what I would also call meta-history, right? That there's a framework within which human history takes place. The truth is that Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden is before historical time. It was another dimension. It was not two human beings like we think. All 6 days of creation was before anything physical even existed as we know it. Much, much higher levels of dimensionality of reality. And finally, only after what Adam does, which is a whole year's course, come to my teachings, come to my classes. So after that, the world falls, so to speak, collapses down into physicality. The physicists nowadays are talking about the idea that matter is frozen energy. The world is energetic. And if you slow it down enough, you can package it in physical form. But the minute you begin to heat it up again, it becomes energy. So it's not two different things, it's one single continuum. And the same thing with soul and body, the same thing with spirit and matter. What I want to, though, focus upon now is the concept of time. Is that from the moment that Adam is banished from the Garden of Eden, which is a state of consciousness, it's not just a physical place. So begins physical time, human time as we know it. Before that, it's God time. You know what a God day is. But He created what would be the equivalent of billions of years for us. But it's days by Hashem. And so now, human time begins. And even then, the world is not the same. The moment, the first few hundred years and thousands of years. Life is very different until it becomes what it is now. It's very important to know this, because if you try and extrapolate from now to understand the past and think that really just the past is just the same as the present, you're making a big mistake. You cannot know what the past was except with prophetic knowledge. And so it's a tremendous chesed, a kindness that Hashem has done us, that we have the prophetic teachings of Judaism to tell us the stages through which creation descended to the point where we have the world as we have it now. And we're also told where it's going to ascend, and it's going to start to, so to speak, go back through the levels. And however you do it, the point is that it came down into a physical world in order that we here could come and become proactive, active participants in bringing the world back to God. And again, I go up and down. You don't have to go up, you don't have to go down. It's all here. but it's more hidden on the inner levels, and therefore it's bringing the external world back into complete unity with the internal world, and bringing more of the internal world in uniting heaven and earth. Time. Time is that the template of the Torah is 6 days leading to a Shabbat. The Ramban and the Gaon of Vilna speak about 6,000 years based on the Talmud, which says, Shita alfe shnin heve alma. The world as we know it will exist for 6,000 years. Shita alfe shnin, 6,000 years, based on the template of the 6 days. And it will move towards what? Towards the Shabbat, which is the Shabbat of history, just like it's a Shabbat every week. That's the template. Where are we now? We are in the 5,771. Which means we're 771 years into the 6th millennium, because when you're in the 5,000s, you're in your 6th millennium. When you're 5 years old, you're in your 6th year. When you're in the 5,000s, you're in the 6th millennium. You're getting closer and closer to the 7th millennium. And we are told that as we get closer and closer to the 7th millennium, that history will accelerate, will go faster. And this is the prophecy of the Zohar, that it'll be like a person preparing for Shabbat. As Shabbat gets closer, we have to move faster. You'll see any Jewish community, anywhere in the world, because Shabbat is coming, we got to start finishing off whatever we're doing to prepare for Shabbat. Once they say there was a tzaddik who said, Hashem, just wait, I got to do one more thing. And then he caught himself and he said, no, don't you understand? When Hashem wants to bring Shabbat in, don't ask him to wait. The Shabbat is a light that comes in from the future, from the surrounding level around us, and begins to interpenetrate into the 6,000 years. And it's particularly now, towards the end of the 6th millennium, that this is now, the energy of the 7 is entering and becoming more and more powerful and more revealed as the soul of the 6, right in the midst of our lives. And it's an incredible thing, because exactly as it was in the Garden of Eden, on the 6th day of creation, when Adam was created, and at 12 o'clock, that is to say 6 hours after dawn of the 6th day of creation, we have this in the Seder HaDorot, hour by hour. Even if it's not literal, but it teaches us tremendous truths. By the 6th hour is when the Nachash entered into the Garden of Eden to test Eve. And the context within which this takes place is just magnificent. And again, most people do not know how to learn this. They've never been introduced to how to even deal with these subjects. There's one great teacher, one of the most amazing teachers, who was born in 1841, and he passed away in 1926. His name is Rabbi Shlomo Elyashiv. He's known as the Leshem Shvov Achlama. Rabbi Kook considered him his teacher. He brought him to Israel for the last 2 years of his life. He was the father-in-law of Rabbi Aryeh Levine. He's the grandfather of the great Rabbi Yosef Elyashiv, who's the great posek of our generation. These teachings that are brought down in the Leshem, which is a compendium of all the midrashic and all of the Kabbalistic teachings about Adam, leading up to our time and leading beyond into eternity. These are becoming available in our time. Why? Because it's so important to know, to orient ourselves properly where we are right now, and why we've been born right now, why our souls have come into the world right now, and what's available to us, the knowledge base that we can draw upon to become wise, to know what we need to do. This is incredibly important information. In the short segment that we're doing here, I will end by saying that the Baal Shem Tov was extremely, intensely aware of this. He knew exactly when he was alive on the cosmic clock of creation. 1240 was the beginning of the 6th millennium, the year 5000. 1490 was the year 5,250. 250 years, 1/4 of a millennium. The year 5500 is the year 1740. The Gaon of Vilna was born in 1720. He knew that 1740 was the equivalent of dawn, D-A-W-N. the Zrichat HaShemesh. The Gaon of Vilna, the Baal Shem Tov, the Or HaChaim, all of them knew they were living at the 6th millennium equivalent of the 6th day of creation. And they know dawn, the end of night, the beginning of a new revelation of Torah in the world. And that's why they taught such deep things. And we've now gone another 250 years. We've come to 1990, which is the equivalent of 5,750. Again, 750 years into the Elef HaShishi, into the 6th millennium. And now we're in 5,771, which is 21 years now. 2010, going into 2011. We're halfway through the next hour. Every hour is 41 years and 8 months. And as we get closer and closer to the Shabbat, things get faster. The Baal Shem Tov wrote a commentary, one of the rare things we have from him. And you can read about it. I've translated it, I've taught it, and I want you to know about it. It is how to enter into the 7th millennium, even now, while we're in the end of the 6th millennium. How to have that consciousness, that awareness. To be the students of the Gaon of Vilna, and the Baal Shem Tov, and the Ramchal, and the Ari, and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and Rabbi Akiva, and all of the great teachers. They are wanting to teach us. It's time that we opened up and asked them and told them, we're ready. Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom. Let us truly see in our lifetime, for us and for our children, the thing that all history, all of Jewish parents have always waited for, the great day, the great Shabbat. Shalom, shalom.